Well, welcome everybody today to the Dhammaloka Book Club. I'm Ajahn Jhanarato from Kusala Hermitage down in Rollystone. So today I'll be talking about the book In the Buddha's Words, and this is by Bhikkhu Bodhi. So I hope you can see that on the camera. So it's probably one of the longer books in the book club, but I believe it's available in the Dhammaloka library here if you want to get a copy. And today we'll just have a brief look at it because it's quite a long book and we've only got about 45 minutes. So thanks everyone for coming. All good to see you. Yeah, nice. Haven't been here in Dhammaloka for quite a while. Myself and Ajahn Santuti have been quite busy working down at Kusala Hermitage in Rollystone, so I'm the second monk there. And I've trained with Ajahn Brahm since about 2006. So myself and Ajahn Santuti are the two senior monks at Kusala. So thank you to Manel for inviting me today. And yeah, all good. So we can get started. Okay, so this is In the Buddha's Words by Bhikkhu Bodhi. So this is an anthology of the ancient Buddhist texts. So Bhikkhu Bodhi is probably one of the most well-known translators of the Theravadan suttas, and he spent quite some time in Sri Lanka as well. I think he was at the forest hermitage there, along with after Bhante Nyanaponika and Dhammaloka had been there, and the Buddhist Publication Society had a long history there of publishing the teachings of the Buddha. And this book is essentially just a collection of suttas from the first basket, the Sutta Pitaka. So I think to start with, I'll try and explain the format of the book. So Bhikkhu Bodhi is well known for having translated many of the main texts of the Sutta Pitaka. So the Sutta Pitaka is the collection of the ancient Pali scriptures belonging to the discourses of the Buddha, where he would go around and teach, give many talks all over the place, and they were collected by his monks and recorded as an oral tradition. And it wasn't until many years later, maybe about 400 years after the Buddha, that they put it down in writing in Sri Lanka, and the texts were preserved in writing. So we call these collections the Tipitaka. This is the Sutta Pitaka, which is where this anthology comes from. The Vinaya Pitaka, which is the monks' discipline, the rules for the monks and the nuns, the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis of the Theravadan tradition, and also the Abhidhamma, which is the analysis, a much larger text, but perhaps a bit later than the other texts, the Sutta Pitaka and the Vinaya Pitaka. And that said, this book has a number of selections from the suttas. So taking the first collection, the Sutta Pitaka, there are I think 5 main books, and of them I think 4 are considered to be the most important. That's the Digha Nikaya, the long discourses of the Buddha, the Majjhima Nikaya, which is the middle-length collection of the collection of middle-length discourses, the Samyutta, which is the collection of connected discourses, and the Anguttara Nikaya, which is the numerical discourses. So these 4 books have been translated. I think the Digha was actually translated by a man called Maurice Walsh. The Majjhima Nikaya was translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi himself around 1994, I think, which is a very good time for English speakers, because it was a very excellent modern day translation after the the earlier translations that had come out of the Pali Text Society in the early 20th century. Bhikkhu Bodhi also translated the Samyutta Nikaya and the Anguttara Nikaya, which is the connected discourses and numerical discourses. So we can see here that we have translations from those four main books, and of course there's there is a fifth collection called the Khuddaka Nikaya, which is probably lesser importance than these four. And what you'll find in this book is a number of texts, many texts from those four main Nikayas collections. So Bhikkhu Bodhi, having done all these translations, has a very comprehensive knowledge of what's in the suttas, and he has his own arrangement of understanding of the text. So he has taken. I'll just explain that the suttas, as they're collected in the original Pali scriptures, don't have much in the way of structure. So if you're reading through the Majjhima Nikaya, you'll probably find that one discourse is very different to the one before. And what Bhikkhu Bodhi has done in this book is actually to just arrange things in a way that they form a sort of a sort of narrative here of different subjects building up to deeper and deeper subjects. So if you go into the first chapter, this is the general introduction. We have a really good introduction to what these texts actually are, and also Bhikkhu Bodhi's system for arranging them. So that's the general introduction here. Now I won't go into too much detail on everything because it is quite a long book. I'd suggest, so if you're interested in this, I remember when I was much younger, in 2005. In 2005, I remember going to I was a lay person. I went to a retreat with Ajahn Dhammaloka, which is he's a German monk. You'll probably know his brother Chittapalo, Ajahn Chittapalo, who I think occasionally gives a talk here, or at least he's here for the weekend. But his brother was living at Bodhinyana at the time in 2005, November 2005. So I went to a 9-day retreat with him at the Redemptorist Monastery before Jhanarato was built. And he was reading from this actual book, so this had just come out about that time. And for those of us who are, if you're like me, I think everyone knows, that I'm not the most scholarly monk out there. I'm not like Ajahn Brahmali or Ajahn Sunyo, who have a very good grasp of Pali, or even Ajahn Brahm, having gone back to the original text. But I do like to read, and I've read at least the Majjhima Nikaya a few times. So I found this book excellent, actually. When I may have read it maybe twice I think now. So it's good if you want to get into the suttas. This is a great book to sort of sit down and go through topic by topic rather than feeling your way through a larger text like the Majjhima Nikaya. And I think if you read through this, you'll find after the main introduction, there's 10 chapters here. And if you go through it, there's 10 chapters here. You'll find each chapter is also has an introduction by Bhikkhu Bodhi and a collection of suttas, some of them abridged, some of them in full. And what I found is really good, because I've read the Majjhima Nikaya a few times, is all the little suttas that you find from like the connected discourses and the Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourses. So the Samyutta Nikaya is well known as being quite a technical collection. So and actually Bhikkhu Bodhi does discuss the four Nikayas. He's talking about the Digha Nikaya as perhaps intended to be a way of bringing Buddhism to converts, especially at the time when they met other people at the time. The monks would these are probably the discourses that they'd introduce or newer monks, people who had just come to the faith or to the Buddha Dharma. The Majjhima Nikaya is probably more aimed at them. But the Samyutta Nikaya seems to have quite a lot of very specific topics, and so it's very good. As we go through these chapters, you can see that there's a fair selection from each of the collections, and for those who don't have the patience to go through the entire Samyutta Nikaya, it's a very good book to read, this anthology. So we'll start out. So the first chapter here, we're talking about Bhikkhu Bodhi starts with his first collection called The Human Condition. And this is really just an introduction to, what is Buddhism. So here we've got a selection of texts on old age, sickness and death. Is the first section. Obviously, this is the inspiration for the Buddha when he went forth from his life as a prince to become an ascetic. He had this introduction to the suffering in life, the difficulties that we have, and this first chapter here collects a number of suttas. So we have this is what you'll find though. The best way to approach this book is not to read it all in one sitting, but I set aside when I knew how to do the book club. I set aside I had about 10 weeks to go through 10 chapters. So sometimes you'll be reading something in it and maybe it doesn't mean much to you, and then another time you might read another sutta and find that it's actually very, you really connect with what the Buddha's talking about at that point. So as we go through the first chapter, here we have something like the Divine Messengers, which is an extract from the Anguttara Nikaya, and where a man is being told off after passing away for not paying attention to old age, sickness and death. We start to learn as we go through this first chapter. We've got the vicissitudes of life. People will recognise these things. People might know about the worldly winds. Does anyone know about the worldly winds? Yeah. So you've got the worldly winds of gain and loss, fame and disrepute, praise and blame, pleasure and pain, and again, this is a topic that you might be aware of, but you might not know where it comes from. It happens to be in this anthology, and there are references that you can use to go and find the full text and possibly related texts as well. You can always hop on to Sutta Central as well, where Bhante Sujato has translated the 4 Nikayas as well. So if you find something interesting, just pick up on that and read a little bit about that. You don't have to take everything in at once, and with the whole suttas, you're never going to take it all in. Maybe if you're a Buddha or or an Arahant or something, I don't know. A lot of this stuff is very deep as well. So we'll go through this. Got another half hour or so. So we'll just go through this chapter by chapter. We just start to learn here. This is just the beginning of the Buddha's teaching, where it all comes from in this first section. And the Buddha, and of course there's the discussion of samsara there. Chapter 2 is the bringer of light. Okay, so this chapter is about the Buddha himself and how he how he came into the world, and the path that he established. So this is about the Buddha himself. The second chapter here. We learn about his conception and birth. We learn about his quest for enlightenment, and again, I see here there's there's a section here from the Majjhima Nikaya where he talks about the 2 teachers that he came across as he was training. I don't know if anyone knows these people. This is Uddaka Ramaputta and also the Alara Kalama. So these were two meditation teachers that he came across as he continued his search for an end of suffering. And another abridged part of the Majjhima Nikaya there. And there's, we'll see how we go. So, and again, the things you see here, this is very good here actually. This is the another one from the Majjhima Nikaya. So this is an extract from Majjhima Nikaya 36 where he starts talking about the jhanas. So, you might have heard about the jhanas, I don't know. Ajahn Brahm might have mentioned them once or twice. And that's one of the great things about just studying the sutras is you realise that when you listen to an Ajahn Brahm talk, it's like you realise that he has actually studied the Pali. He understands what the texts say about meditation, as well as the importance of these deep states in Buddhist practice. So here in this second section, Bhikkhu Bodhi has included a section here with the 4 jhanas and also the three true knowledges. Does anyone know what the 3 true knowledges are? So we're talking about here. This is after having this very deep meditation under the Bodhi tree way back when, 2,500 years ago. He as well as the jhanas, we're talking here about the nature of rebirth. So the very first thing there is remembering past lives, understanding karma, and understanding the cessation of the taints, the end of the defilements. So it's very straightforward. It's been discussed by a lot of people whether reincarnation is real or not. Well, whatever you believe, it's very clearly in the texts and repeated over and over again. And Bhikkhu Bodhi has included it here in this second section of the of this book, which is about the Buddha himself and his own attainment, his own path to finding the Dhamma himself. We have here. So he got enlightened, and then wasn't sure whether to teach. And the story is that the Brahma Sahampati comes and says to the Buddha, "Yeah, go and teach." And he says, "All right then." Quick summary here. So this is actually, this is me summarising a book, which is a summary of the whole Tipitaka. So, hello. Yeah, no worries. Take a seat. And of course, here. Okay, this is great. Yeah. So then, you'll be, if you're interested in the suttas, here on page 75, you can see this is called the first discourse. So that's actually the very first discourse that the Buddha taught, which is the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So here we go. We've got the exact talk. Well, this is how it's recorded. His exact talk to those first 5 monks who were ascetics that practiced with him before he was the Buddha, and after the Buddha, they were his first disciples and the first 5 people to come to enlightenment in this era of the Buddha, the era of this Buddha. Okay, so we'll just keep going through this. I don't think I need to go into too much detail because that's impossible. Chapter 3, we've got approaching the Dharma. And this is I think this is actually more focused on people coming to Buddhism. So let's have a look here. Yeah, okay. So in here we have texts like the Kalama Sutta. So I don't know if anyone knows the Kalama Sutta. It's a very well-known sutta. Did you know that it's like in the Anguttara Nikaya? You might not have. You'd have to search through quite a lot of text to find this. But here it is. We're talking about the approach to dogma and blind belief in Buddhism. And this sutta is very famous. I've seen it printed out on a number of occasions. Might even be in the I don't know if it's even in the tea room there, but certainly at the Cambodian society where I was staying, this talks about how you should assess when a teacher starts talking to you, a spiritual teacher. And I think there's a number of suttas in here about people who've come in contact with the Buddha and have been inspired and won over. There's more here about the Brahmins. So the Brahmins were had quite a lot of interaction. The Brahmin caste had quite a lot of interaction with the Buddha at the time, and there's a number of discourses from there. But there's one there which is the Kanki Sutta, and again that's just a different sort of person that's come across the Buddhist teachings. So moving on, all good. Everyone happy? Any questions? Any questions? You're always welcome to ask. Anyway, okay, so we'll go through it. This is chapter 4. We have the happiness visible in this present life, and this might be relative. This might be relevant. Sorry, just a second. This is relevant here to lay people as well as monastics. So actually, in this chapter, Bhikkhu Bodhi is talking about how we have this breakup of the teaching into a sort of gradual approach to nibbana, and Bhikkhu Bodhi here is, I think these next 3 chapters he breaks it up into the welfare and happiness directly visible in this present life, which is about fulfilling one's moral commitments and social responsibilities, very much targeted at lay people who are not necessarily going to go out and become monks and keep the 227 precepts and live in monasteries and stuff, but they can still get that welfare and happiness from the practice. And also, the second part here, he's talking about the rebirth and the results of what we do now and how that can affect the future births, and also finally you've got the actual attainment of nibbana, the final goal of this path. So I think we'll just go through here quickly. This is in this chapter he's talking to lay people. We've got okay, what have we got here? Okay, well, I mean, there's some interesting stuff here talking about how one relates to one's family, to one's parents and children, to husbands and wives, and so on and so forth. And I think if you're actually looking for any of these texts, again, if you're interested in how to relate to one's family according to the Buddha, you'd have to be searching through books and books and suttas. But here we've got quite a nice little collection here. So, sorry, page number? Oh yeah, easy. Yeah. Okay, so here this is actually page 118. So the topic here is the family. And so it's an interesting sutta here where the Buddha talks about repairing one's parents. He's actually talking about monks here. There's that classic quote where the classic passage where he says that you can look after them by even to the point of carrying them around on your shoulders, and you'd never repay them, but to establish them in faith, in morality and in generosity and wisdom. In that way one might repay your parents. So it's quite a nice little sutta there. Marriages, so it does cover marriages as well. I will keep going through this quite fast. We have we've got a description of right livelihood, so that's actually part of the Eightfold Path. What are we supposed to be doing? And this is page 126. You can see here there's a number of passages there, and Yeah, and again, it's a very So anyway, we're just working through this chapter about often about lay life, and there's some interesting stuff there about the caste system in India at the time, and how the Buddha accepted many people from all castes in India at that time, and so that's very, very good. So, okay, so. The fifth chapter here we talk about, this is page 143. Again, we've got an introduction from Bhikkhu Bodhi, and we're talking here about rebirth. So, obviously, this is of crucial importance in the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha did teach rebirth. He did teach, a system where there is more than one life. And that the future lives are affected by our current actions, and our well-being and our happiness in the future relies on our actions. So you can see here on page 155, we have a section on the law of karma, why beings fare as they do after death. And I'll just keep going. Karma and its fruits. Yeah, so this is an entire chapter just about karma, and again, if you go to the suttas, you're going to have to sift through hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of suttas to find what you're looking for. So thankfully, they're all here. We talk about making good karma, of the results of giving, of generosity. And moral discipline here. So we see on one page 172, we have the precepts here, the 5 precepts, how they're described. There's a couple of pages devoted to that. I don't have time to read them all out. There's not really a sutta class here, but you can see, just as we go through here, you can see all of these very, very important texts. The Apostata, the full moon and new moon observances, and the practice of observing them, and I'm sure a lot of these things are actually just part of culture in places like Sri Lanka and sorry. Well, that's true. There's that's true too. Yeah, there's the observance of the full moon and the new moon. Yes, as Eddie pointed out. It can be quite ritualized as well. But it's certainly something that has its basis in the suttas here, and you can find out what the Buddha said here. We've got the discussion of meditation here, and this is just the end of the first chapter, the chapter on rebirth, and it talks, and this is it actually talks about the results of meditation on loving kindness as well. What sort of things you can expect from practicing this sort of meditation. That's page 177. And as we move on, this is chapter 6, Deepening One's Perspective on the World. And here, Bhikkhu Bodhi goes into some of the deeper aspects of the Dharma. Let's just have a look through here. Okay, so we're talking about here, I believe this chapter is actually about Nibbana itself. I think this is actually, this is more taking things through to, as I suggested before, there's about 3 chapters, one on happiness in this life, happiness in the in rebirth, and also taking things to the end. Ooh. Okay, so here we've got the Tathagata. We've got some of the deeper teachings here about what the point of this path is, what the end of the path is, and I think we'll just okay, great, So you can see there's here on page 193. I think this is where we learn about things like So we've got a few suttas in here about the gratification, the danger, and the escape in sensual pleasures. So we start learning about the things we're letting go of here, Yeah. And, sorry? Well, I couldn't I? I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Okay, so, thanks, Manel. Yes, just as a suggestion, here we go, because I've got a bit of time, but here we start talking about the gratification. Okay, so, what have we got here? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to find something short enough to read. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking here. So on page 199, the Buddha starts talking about the pitfalls in sensual pleasures, and we're talking about the five senses here mainly. This is the sight, sound, hearing, taste, and touch, and yeah, so there's some okay. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, this is a bit not too gross because some of these are a bit morbid. Yeah, so we're talking about like sensual pleasures here, and we can see here on page 201 says, "Householder." The Buddha is saying this. "Householder, suppose a man borrowed goods on loan, a fancy carriage and fine jewel earrings, and proceeded, and surrounded by those borrowed goods, he went to the marketplace. People seeing him would say, 'Sir, that is a rich man.' Now that is how rich men enjoy their wealth. The owners of the things that he has, when they saw him, would take back their things. Would you think, householder, would that be enough for that man to become dejected?" And the monks, of course, say, "Yes, venerable sir. Why is that? Because the owners took back their things." And it's just the Buddha's here talking about there's fun to be had in life, but often there's a downside to it. The good times end and bad times come along. So that's sort of the general general topics here, where we start moving away from just finding happiness to actually seeing the difficulties in life. I just noticed here, there's a classic sutta. I won't have time to read it, but if you're looking for it, on page 214, there's the blind men and the elephant, and that's where the king gets these five. It's a simile being taught by the Buddha, but that's where the king gets these five men together, blind men together, and feels the elephant and tells them what an elephant is. And one of them feels the head, says it's like a water jar. Another one says feels the ear and says it's like a winnowing basket. The one who gets the tusk says it's like a ploughshare. The one who gets the trunk says it's like a plough pole. The one who saw the body thought it was like an entire storeroom. Anyway, and then there's a rather amusing part at the end here where they start arguing, the blind men, and they fought each other with their fists. And the king was delighted. Oh, what a bastard. I don't know why this king has got these five men together and then is happy when they start attacking each other. But basically, the Buddha is saying here that there are people who are quite foolish, who get into these arguments about views, basically. So here we go. As we go through, we're starting to talk about the views, the nature of these the suffering that's in this world, anyway. So the next chapter is the path to liberation. Yay! So after all that suffering, so I have to say, if you just read that chapter alone, you might be feeling a bit depressed now, because it's all about the suffering. It's about the suffering aspect of what we learn here. But this is actually the path to liberation. This chapter is where the Buddha starts getting into the way out. The way out of samsara, and we start with why we enter the path, and And things like, this fading away of lust, this fading away of wanting. Here on page 239 we have a full analysis of the Eightfold Path from right view through to right samadhi. We have a lovely passage here on spoken by Venerable Ananda, where he says to the Buddha, he says that good friendship is half of the spiritual life, and the Buddha says no, it isn't. It's the whole of the spiritual life. Yeah. So when we have the Kalyana Mitta group here, the Kalyana Mitta is a spiritual friend. So all of these fantastic suttas. As we go through this rather long book, we find there's some fantastic stuff in here, and stuff you might have heard before but probably weren't sure where it came from. We've got another one on the gradual training, and as monks we hear a lot about this. Ajahn Brahmali teaches the gradual training often in his sutta classes to the monks. That's taken from Majjhima Nikaya 27. And then we're going through the highest stages of training, and taking us through to chapter 8, we have mastering the mind. And this is where we start talking in some of the deeper texts. And I have to say, even as a monk, I've been a monk for 15 years, and a lot of this stuff still seems very lofty. We have some very important texts in here, or abbreviated texts, such as the Samadhi Sutra, I think, is in here. The right view, the refinement of the mind here. The removal of distracting thoughts is a very popular sutta from Ajahn Brahmali. He teaches that quite a bit on his sutta retreats. And we're getting into the meditation subjects here. So obviously, we come here on a Friday night and we practice with Ajahn Brahm. But this is actually a really good collection of suttas on meditation spoken by the Buddha himself. So we have meditation here on loving kindness, the 6 recollections, which is quite interesting, which is on page 279. I think this is the one where so here we've got the meditation on the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and on the Devas. And again, you'll find these in texts like the Visuddhimagga, where they elaborate on these things. But this seems to be the sutta that originates from, these meditation on the Buddha, for instance, which would be in the Thai practice, maybe just going Bhutto. But that's the basis there in the suttas. And the 4 foundations of mindfulness. I don't have time to read that now, but that's one of the most famous suttas on the 4 foundations of mindfulness: the body, the feeling, the mind, and the dharmas. So that's included here in this sutta. And then again, after that, we've got mindfulness of breathing. And this isn't taken from the Majjhima Nikaya. This is actually from the Samyutta Nikaya. Oh, actually, it might be a collection there. So that's pretty much where, if you read the basic method of meditation, that's essentially what that is based on, that Anapanasati. This is actually from the Samyutta, as I pointed out, but there's also the Anapanasati Sutta that's in the Majjhima Nikaya. That's a fantastic Sutta 118 there. So if you want to keep going, you can always go to the suttas themselves and find all these and related suttas if you're interested. Okay, I've got a few minutes left. So this is chapter 9 of 10. We have shining the light of wisdom here. And here we talk about, this is where Bhikkhu Bodhi starts to collect a number of texts regarding wisdom, the wisdom side of things. So, we're talking about subjects such as the 5 aggregates. I believe there's which is the 5 aggregates: the form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness that you hear about again and again in the suttas. You've also got the 6 internal and external sense bases. And again, this is getting into some deep, almost abstruse aspects of the Dharma. So, but included here is like the fire sermon. The fire sermon is another one of those suttas we'd chant during the rains retreat in Pali. The 4 elements, dependent origination. And again, this stuff is all very, like each of these is like a massive topic in itself. So again, you can sort of pick and choose what you want to have a look at. And we've got the 4 noble truths. I mean, that's about as central to Buddha's wisdom as possible. So that's as we go through here, so this is chapter 9 here. I was just looking through the introduction then, but we have the right view. That's the Samaditi Sutta. We have, we'll keep going through here. The aggregates here on page 335. And again, a lot of this stuff is from the Samyutta, the more technical aspects, the characteristic of non-self. Again, one of the suttas we chant before the Dhamma talk each night during the rains retreat. So already we've come across those 3, I think. This is the characteristic of non-self, which is on 341, which is the talk he gave where after the other one we're talking about, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, then his 5 first disciples. I believe this is the sutta where they all become enlightened. So that's kind of important. You've got interesting here. Yeah, you've got these descriptions of the 5 aggregates as a lump of foam, as things like a banana tree. You cut it down. There's no core in there. 6 sense bases. Okay, so let's just quickly go through here because it's almost time to go. And we've got several suttas on dependent origination here. We're looking at page 353. Please, if you're online or watching this later on, you can always slow down this talk and pick up each of these suttas. You can even pause the talk and just have a look at what I'm mentioning here. And keep going through. I mean, we're going into things like consciousness, the nature of consciousness, and we've got the 4 noble truths here, and the handful of leaves. Ajahn Santiti is the abbot at Kusala Hermitage. He was asking me, what's in this book you're reading? I said, I read this one. This is quite nice. This is where he talks about the handful of leaves, which is where the Buddha gives this is one of those great quotes. What do he say? He says, what do you think, monks? What is more numerous, these few leaves that I've taken up in my hand, or those in the grove above, in a grove overhead? So he's sitting in a forest, and he says, this is a handful of leaves. And the monks say, well, the monks at the leaves in your hand are few, but those in the grove overhead are numerous. And he says, so too, the things that I've directly known but have not taught you are numerous. Well, the things I have taught you are few. So, if you think about that, I'm giving a summary of this book, which is a summary of the Nikayas, and the Buddha is saying even those Nikayas, all those talks he gave up until he was 80 years old, is only a handful of leaves compared to what the Buddha actually knew for himself. Okay, so we keep going through here, and almost time to go. We have all sorts of wonderful stuff in here, just regarding the wisdom of the Buddha. Finally we have the last chapter here, which is chapter 10. Thanks for hanging around for all this time. The last chapter, which I'll just go through briefly, is where okay, right. So this is actually the planes of realization here, and this final chapter is actually about the 4 stages of enlightenment. So with the stream enterer, the once returner, non-returner, and arahant. And this chapter of the book goes into a bit of detail about that. What are these 4 stages of enlightenment? And obviously there's some more technical stuff in here about things like the Dharma follower and the faith follower and the difference there. And I'll just wrap up here. There's all sorts of stuff in here about stream entry and what the stream enter lets go of, what the non-returner lets go of. And I believe, that's right, yeah. I think at the end here, as we get to the end of this book, and it is time to go in a minute, we finally talk about the Arahant, one who's actually come to the end of the practice. There's an interesting sutta here on page 402 regarding the conceit I am. So if you're ever interested, it's one of the very, 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 very lofty aspects of Dharma here, talking about what is this I am, what is this sense of self that is left after you've given up everything else that the non-returner has given up, and there's some similes there about what is I am after the you've already seen non-self as a stream enterer. So this talks about the very, very final letting go of the tendency I am, and that's where this monk refers to the scent of laundry that has already been cleaned, been put away, and finally that scent of the soap has just faded away. And then finally, at the end of this book, we have a discussion of the Buddha himself and the differences there between the Buddha and the Arahant, and there's a collection here at the end about the Buddha himself and his nature. So that's it. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. Does anyone have any questions or anything you'd like to do before we go? As I said before, this is the, so if you followed with this so far, this is the In the Buddha's Words by Bhikkhu Bodhi. It's available at the Dhammaloka library here if you want to come in and grab a copy. So please do, because it's a good book. And as I said, this is a wonderful introduction to the Pali texts that form our understanding here at Dhammaloka. This is where it all comes from. Okay. Thank you. All right then. So, what should we do now? What do we do now? Is it time to go? Or? Yeah, everyone's happy? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, cool. And thanks for getting me a copy of this as well. I'll take that back to Kusala with me. All right. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries.